distort her truth me husband. And I sadly know a little something about this. For years Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear US. Did you see Barack Hussein Obama last night? Take little shots. He was taking shots at your president, and so was Michelle. You know they always say, sure, please stick to policy, don't get personal. And yet they're getting personal all night long. These people, Trump seemed like someone had his plug pulled during a live stream replaying praise. From 2016, Obama steps out, no shouting, no theatrics, just calmly opening a Happy Meal full of scattered pieces, politics for a minute to the next, but with better hair. And no makeup assistant, each line peeled away layers of that glossy confidence, leaving Trump scrambling to react as if Simeon had just scratched his golf cart tap Mar-a-Lago. And you should stick around because this whirlwind is even more dramatic than a Real Housewives meltdown. Ironically, Obama's calm made Trump panic more than any federal investigation cooled. While Obama said a few words and stepped down, Trump had to set up a whole stage just to shout that he was fine. On all it took was one glance from Michael, and the entire code of power Trump wore started to crack. Plum Lord, a predator found liable for sexual abuse. All off this while we pick apart Cla's answers from interviews that he doesn't even have the courage to do. Y'all please do not hand our fates over to the likes of Trump, who knows nothing about us, who has shown deep contempt for US because a vote for him is a vote against us, against our health, against our worth. It wasn't a desperate shout, no, it wasn't an out-of-control outburst, but a waste terrifying calm brought into the public space like a sharp scalpel. And when Barack Obama said this, Trump erupted like a fire in a room full of fair spray. He wasn't even named, no direct accusations, just a gentle reminder dripping with dignity. Yet it sent Trump into a fury as if he were auditioning for a new version of The Apprentice, but instead of strategy or talent, it was just an image of clumsy Roger. Obama said so little, just a few soft words, but it was enough to make Trump lose all control over his emotions. These highlights an uncomfortable truth. Even a calm word can shake up a rickety throne. If Donald Trump is president again at some point or another, Thatch Glenis will touch all of our lives, and it will not matter what you look like, how you worship, who you love, or how you vote if you don't make 6 or 8 or 12 figures, if you're not famous, if you criticize or disagree with him in any way, if he doesn't view you as his equal or relevant to his ambitions. I promise you, he will not think about you when he gets into the Oval Office. When Trump starts rolling on camera, launching into criticism of Michelle, he shows us who he really is, a man who can't face the truth and has to blame anyone who's not involved. After mocking soldiers, ridiculing disabled reporters, now he's trying to blame everything from Obama to stock market. Mitchell's speech was in no way politically damaging, but to Trump everything becomes a battle just because he off one speech. Trump turns himself into a leaping from the audience to the stagger, twisting every word of criticism like he's an actor in Jumanji, constant light perform, constantly reacting. Remember when I met with Obama, his wife was very nasty to me the other day. Oh, that was not nice. She was very nasty. She said nasty things. I was always very respectful of her, but she got up there, which shows y'all how nervous they are about what's happening. But she was nasty to days. Gosh, got up and said some bad things she shouldn't have said. They were wrong. Trump and his self-satisfaction has been obsessed with Obama for a long time. From birth certificate conspiracy, toneless criticism about everything from a crowd size at Obama's events to his golf habits to his Spotify playlist. Even if you gave Trump a coloring book, he'd blame Obama for everything, as if stuck in a game Obama's long since left behind. What's striking is that Trump can't stop blaming Obama for those two liberal cranes while Obama led the country through tough times. He didn't have to deal with the stresses Trump faces. Obama's maturity is what Trump can't accept. When you don't need to shout to her, that's a type of leadership Trump doesn't understand. Trump can't stand Obama succeeding without constant validation. To get past this, Trump keeps blaming Obama for his failures. From the economy to crisis, completing a perfect circle, constantly turning back to Obama even after he retired. I mean, if you follow regularly what is said by those who are in charge of the federal government right now, there is a weak commitment to what we understood, and not just my generation, at least since World War E. Our understanding of how liberal democracy is supposed to work. And when I say liberal, I don't mean lefty, mean liberal in the sense of believing in rule of law. Trump didn't just fail at letting the country, he failed at facing reality. He lives in a world where only recognition from the crowd matters, and when the crowd's approval isn't there, few would hesitate to blame everyone around him, from Obama to other politicians. Tonian Who disagrees with him? This insecurity has formed a pattern, a faulty leadership where everything's a power game. And he can't accept the truth when people don't fall in line with what he wants, when facing disrespect for Michelle. And Barack Obama Trump shifts blame to them for his own failures rather than facing himself and acknowledging what he did wrong at that last hour. President Trump tweeted our response to former First Lady Michelle Obama. We just played part of her speech when she spoke at the Democratic National Convention last night and said, "President is over his head." Well, here's how he responded. He tweeted, "They would not be here in the beautiful White House if it weren't for the job done by your husband Barack Obama. Biden was merely an afterthought, a good reason for that very late and unenthusiastic stint were standing in the White House. I wouldn't be in the White House except for Barack Obama because they did a bad job, Biden and Obama. And if they did a good job, I wouldn't be here. I'd be building someplace and having got a good time." Michelle didn't need to do anything to destroy Trump. She simply exited gracefully. With clear standards and in a world where Trump is always allergic to accountability, this simple respect was a devastating blow. No need for harsh criticism. No need to humiliate an opponent. Because when Michelle chose not to participate in Trump's noisy battles, she hurt him more than any insult ever cowed every time Trump mentions her name. Every time he tries to respond or clarify Thaisu, he's not just defending himself, he's reminding the public that the words of the former First Lady didn't stop there. They've deeply embedded in his mind where respect for others seems to have no place. What's striking is that Michelle's quiet textance wasn't just a reminder of dignity, but also a perfect reflection of Trump's lack of responsibility every time Trump tries to escape the truth. Every time he denies his mistakes and blames Obama, he only highlights his own insecurity because for Trump, Michelle's silence was the sharpest critique he couldn't face. I absolutely love this idea. I remember going through my things as a teenager, I know, 14, 15, and sitting on the bus, taking the bus to the movies, or wherever he was going and sitting on the back of bus writing lyrics and working through my own emotions, working through things, and really coming into a more positive place just by expressing what I was feeling. So I really hope that this works out Trump in a so-called journey of self-healing. Didn't enjoy a bit of poetry at 14 or 15. Right, surely he must have found some peace, scribbling his little rap lyrics in the back of a bus, reaching for meaning, trying to push away those darker feelings. And there's nothing quite like watching Trump finally discover how to feel and express, though sadly not in any genuine way. Instead of finding clarity, he's gone on building empires made of make-believe and mistruths. So the real question is, did Trump ever truly understand himself? People should be staying in locker rooms, but still I think it's good you have to stand proudly for the national anthem. Y'all shouldn't be playing, you shouldn't better, maybe you shouldn't be in the country. You have to stand proudly black excellence, yeah? We made some black excellency. It wasn't just at the top of Africa and comes the pinnacle of self-importance, etc. Not just the business mogul, but also self-proclaimed icon of black excellence in turn. He clearly knows little about there. He stands delivering his inspirational speeches are Ginga Varioni to stand up when the national anthem plays, but instead of leading the nation, he spends most of his time playing golf while his foreign policy is as chaotic as a game. With no referee, so can he really stand by his own words? Continue on to another segment where Trump's rhetoric gets even more absurd than ever. Before it's time for some people to go to jail, some people are out there to straight kill some people. Are out there to be authoritative figures, you give them that kind of power and of a weapon, and it changes their mentality. For Trump, that truth is never certain. Today, he says one thing, and tomorrow, he says the completely opposite the image he's crafted for. Himself as a national hero is the complete opposite of reality. Sure had built an empire, but not from great achievements, rather from spectacular conscience. Why rebranding himself has become his routine, turning everything into a constant battle between truth and fabrication. Don't worry, we've got more coming up to see what happens when all the truths finally come to light. So many of you again, when we first saw this thought, it was suspect because at no time ever has Donald Trump or anybody else just said that he was providing financing to the Black Panthers when he was in college Essicon of all again. If you look at Logishare, Donald Trump was a warden, his daddy, you know, bought him into the school. He didn't have the grades and others, no way, nowhere. In health, that Donald Trump will be crossing paths with Black Panthers, especially in Oakland. Story Trump paints about investing in the Black Panthers in the past sounds like something out of an action movie full of suspense and drama, but when you look at the facts, it's more like a play with no script. Trump with a little help from his father breathed into Wharton without lifting a finger. Now he claims to be part of the theme of Sorry Trump. No matter how much you inflate the story, no one is buying the idea that you ever interacted with Black Panthers in Oakland. Perhaps it's time for Trump to return to real league after all these fabricated television. bless him. How much longer will Trump keep up lies? I love those pink signs, women for Trumpy. Love the signs behind me, blacks for Trump. I like those signs, blacks for Trump. You watch, those signs are great. Thank you. Perhaps Trump imagines that all it takes is a few colorful billboards and golden letters to convince everyone he's angry. Yes, what he has are flashy signs, but in reality, they can't cover up gaping holes in his career. Trump eyes like someone marching in a parade of his sound making. But unfortunately, none of those billboards can save him from theft filers he's racked up across the board. So can Trump continue to hide the truth behind these billboards? Hey look, I ain't gonna lie bro, the black community was not with Trump, you know what I'm saying, bit. When that PPP and all that came out, man, black people forgave him. The best part of this story is how Trump believes that be handing out a few relief packages everyone will simply forget it all. However, the truth has a way of expressing everything. Now people are starting to realize that he's nothing more than an artist. But for Trump, everything can be solved with a package of relief, all while continuing to ignore reality. I believe none of us are perfect, but I believe she's genuine. And I believe, unlike Trump, who his brother of 20 years said the other night, Donnie Deutsch said he doesn't want to be president. He wants to, he said, no one's more surprised than him. He wants that crowd, he wants the occasion. She doesn't give about, so Trump's 20-year buddy just exposed him. You probably didn't expect Trump to be the kind of guy who couldn't care less about the country as long as a crowd is clapping. That's all that matters. Sounds like he's been acting as president just to be a rock and roll star, not really to lead the country. The crowd, that's what Trump lives for. But no worries, sure is still sitting there, not bothered, doing absolutely nothing, just letting Thine turn and handle the rest while Trump is struggling with a suit that doesn't fit or is sipping her martini unfazed by chaos he's causing. Okay, you have rightly so been incredibly outspoken about your disapproval of President Donald Trump.